Welcome back to Swordman Josh Gaming. And this evening, on January 19th, 2019, I just got back from my Ravnica Allegiance sealed pre-release. I placed 5th place out of about 20 people. Didn't do too good. Did pretty good. Lost to a Simic. But other than that, it was 5 rounds. First round, I went 1-1-1. 1 win, 1 tie, 1 loss. Second round, that was against another Orzhov build. Second round, I went up against a Simic and went 0-2 and got mana hosed both times. Rounds 3, 4, and 5, I wiped the floor with everybody. So, as I said earlier, I was going to go over the deck tech of what I played when I was there. As we all know, it's bread, so it's bombs and removal are at the top of there. And so we'll go through here, and I got lucky and got plenty of removal. But I only played one 1-drop, and that is sorry about the glare. It's a Thirsting Shade. I played quite a bit of lifelink. It's a 1 black drop. It's a 1/1 lifelink, but it's a pumper, so it's 1 black and 2 colors, and it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. This little guy, he did a lot of work. I was actually surprised with how much work he did and how much of a threat he was just with being able to pump him up. In my 2 slot, the first thing I pulled 2 Impassioned Orators. So I was gaining a lot of life. Impassioned Orator is a 2/2 bear, 1 white, 1 colorless, and whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain a life. These guys gain me quite a bit of life as well. Also in my 2-drop for creatures, I got 1 Orzhov Enforcer. So he is a 1/2 Death Touch with Afterlife 1. And he just sat there and nobody wanted to block him. He just pinged in for 1 damage regularly all the way through the matches. And then when things got out to a stalemate, I just let him sit there as a tanker wall. To get things started off quick, I did pull, and I pulled 2 Prowling Caracals, but only ended up playing 1 in my deck. It's a 1 white, 1 colorless for a 3/1. I had no problem swapping this guy off for any 3 defense character. I didn't care if it was a 2 defense. He was just there to swap out. I didn't care about swapping out creatures. It was fine. My last creature in the 2-drop spot was the Impetuous Oligarch. Again, this one did a lot of work also. It's a 2/1 with Vigilance and Afterlife. So she just went in for an attack all the time. This cleric, she just loved going in for an attack. And if she died, then I got the flyer to come in afterwards. And the flyers, I didn't think I was going to be able to win in a flying game, but there were a couple matches I annihilated in the flying game. And my first set of removal in the 2 spot is Final Payment. I managed to get 2 final payments, 1 in my seeded pack and 1 in one of my booster packs. It's 1 white, 1 black. So it is multicolored, which helped out in a couple instances when some people were playing this big Sphinx that had protection from monocolored. So this allowed me to get rid of that critter. And I was gaining so much life, I didn't even care about this, because as an additional cost to cast this spell, you can pay 5 life or sacrifice a creature or enchantment. I always paid the 5 life. This was just a cakewalk of a removal, and these, I typically played them all every single round. So I was getting in a lot of removal and then damage early. In my 3-drop spot, I again played some creatures and some removal. So again, we go into the Death Touch. The Death Touch, he just kept getting in for 2, and then when the board got clogged down, he just turned into a wall that nobody wanted to attack into. It's the Noxious Grudian. 1 black and 2 colors for a 2/2 Death Touch. These Death Touch characters, even though they're a 1/2 and a 2/2, they did a lot of work of just slowly whittling people down. The Orzhov's death of 1,000 cuts, they just kept going. Next in my 3-drop slot, these guys did a ton of work also. we have the Viscope Vampires. They are a choice of white or black and 2 colors for 3/1 lifelink. And with as much removal as I was packing in this deck, typically I'd pay 5 life, remove a creature, then attack in for this, gain 3 life right back. They wouldn't play a creature the next turn. I'd gain 6 life, and it just kept going that way. The amount of work that those guys did in terms of gaining me life was ridiculous. And then as the rounds wore on, as the game got longer into the further rounds and the board started getting clogged up, I pulled 2 Foreboding Spirits, 2 white, 1 colorless. When it enters the battlefield until next turn, any creature that attacks me, their controller has to pay 2 extra mana for each one of those creatures. So this just locked down the board for an extra turn with my opponents, and it's got a 3/3 body to boot that it's just a great defender. And when you get towards the end game and you want to go in for the final swing, if you can with Orzhov, it's a 3/3, so it does a lot of work and takes care of all those pesky 2/1s. Then the last thing I had in my 3-drop, I was packing 2 more removal. The first one I got in my seeded pack, it is Mortify. 1 black, 1 white, and 1 colorless. Destroy any target creature or enchantment. So that one did a lot of work as well. And then the second one is Undercity's Embrace. Not as good, but with as much removal as I was packing, typically this just got rid of the last creature they had on the board. So it's 1 black, 2 colorless. Target opponent sacrifices a creature of their choice, and if I control a creature with power 4 or greater, I gain 4 life. I am not packing any creatures that have greater than 4 power, and that never occurred. Now, sitting into my 4-drop, I did not play very many creatures in my 4-drop, but the ones that I played mattered, because they're my flyers, and without the flyers, I would have just been stomped. I got a bunch of ground pounders, but I couldn't deal with this. So my first one was Syndicate Messenger. It is a flying bird, 1 white, 3 colorless. It's a 2/3, so a decent body with an afterlife 1. So again, I would take a block for another flyer, no problem. I would trade flyers and always get that afterlife back. Then the other one in my 4-drop that I was playing as a creature was Spirit of the Spires. So it's a flyer, 2/4, great body, great defender, and all other creatures you control with flying get +0, +1. In my particular build, this really didn't matter much, and never really saw that come into play. Now, at my 4-drop, though, I was packing even more removal. 2 more removal spells. That's 2 at the 2-drop, 2 at the 3-drop, and 2 at the 4-drop. So, I would say that this is Consecrate and Consume. Typically, I'd say that this would sit in a 2-drop spot, but there's not a lot of graveyard manipulation with Ravnica Allegiance. So, the 2-drop portion of it is to exile a card from a graveyard and draw a card. Great draw card, but typically you're going to pay it for that consume cost. That consume cost, this one, I don't know how many times it saved my butt, but 1 black, 1 white, 2 colorless. Target player sacrifices a creature with the greatest power amongst creatures they control, and I gain life equal to its power. This made it through so many hex-proof critters, it wasn't even funny because I was targeting the player. So I just remove them all the way down to that one critter they had left, target them, and that hexproof didn't matter anymore. And then also in the 4-drop, I'm sitting with the ultimate removal and board set. This worked great against some Simic decks and against some Rakdos decks that tried to clog up the board. It's Kaya's Wrath. 2 white, 2 black, destroy all creatures on the board, and you gain life equal to the number of your creatures that you destroyed this turn in this way. So this got an ultimate board wipe on a couple of occasions. Then with that afterlife, they'd just come right back into the field, and I'd be up and running the next round. Also in my 4-drop, we had 2 copies of Ill-Gotten Inheritance, excuse me. This one did a lot of work also. I never had more than 1 on the board, but this was a game ender in probably 5 games of mine, I would say. So at the beginning of all of my upkeeps, I gain 1 life and my opponent loses 1 life. However, at the very end, you can pay 1 black and 5 colorless. You can sack ill-gotten gains, and it's a 4 swing. So you gain 4 life, your opponent loses 4 life. There's so many times I swung in with my full battle crew, got them down to 4, sacked this, and killed them off. So that's what we're sitting in my 4-drop spot. It was just power hungry. Now we move up to the 5-drop. I'm sitting with 1 and 5-drop, but I only ever played it once for a 5-drop because it's a spectacle card. One of the few draw cards I had in this deck, that's the Blade Juggler. And like I said, it's a 3/2 for 5 with a enters the battlefield, damage you for 1 life and draw a card, which is fine and dandy. But like I said, every single time except for 1 game, I paid it for that spectacle cost, which is only 3 for a 3/2 and that ability, which is just amazing. The Blade Juggler would typically come out on, I'd have on the best ones, we'd have that cat come out for a 3/1 on turn 2. And then we'd have this come out on turn 3, and we'd be sacking them in for 6 points of damage per turn by turn 4. And then the last thing in my 5 slot is yet again more removal. Target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn with clear the stage. And if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, you can return up to 1 creature card from your graveyard to your hand. That second part never worked for me, but it's yet more removal. So now we got 2 removal in 2, 2 removal in 3, 2 removal in 4, 1 removal in 5. Now we run up to my 6th spot, and this is where things got interesting. So the first one was a big beefy butt of a wall. He made it so that way I didn't die on a regular occasion, and that's Watchful Giant. 1 white, 5 colorless. He's a 3/6, so he's got a huge butt on him. And when he comes into play, he gets a 1/1 white human creature token to come right along with him. So with our 2 drop-out orders, you play him, you gain 2 life immediately, plus you put 2 more blockers to clog things up so your ill-gotten gains can just continue to do their nasty work. And then my last card in the 6th drop was my pre-release card, which it's an amazing card. It's Ethereal Absolution. This is a gorgeous card, and what it does is just broken. So 1 black, 1 white, 4 colorless. All my creatures get +1/+1. All of my opponent's creatures get -1/-1. So this destroys all other Orzhov decks. It destroyed most of the Azorius decks that were playing 2/1 flyers. And it destroyed a lot of decks with that -1/-1. But to top it all off, for 1 black, 1 white, and 2 colorless, you can exile a target card from an opponent's graveyard. And if it was a creature card, then you get to create a 1/1 white and black spirit token with flying. So it's basically equivalent to all your Afterlife tokens. This one won me multiple games also, just blocking their creatures. And then when their creatures die and my token dies, then I just go and sack their creatures out of their graveyard and make more tokens. So that's what I had sitting in my 6th drop. To make this whole thing work, I was running 2 Orzhov Guild Gates, 1 Gateway Plaza, and 7 Plains and 7 Swamps. Managed to take 5th place out of about 20 people, so not bad at all. I would have done a lot better if it hadn't been for some mana hosing a couple of times. But because I took 5th place, you saw these sitting off to the side. A 5th place win won me 4 booster packs. I did buy that booster box like I said I was going to, and we will open that booster box over the next coming weeks. But we will open these 4 packs tonight. So let's see what we get, ladies and gentlemen. And it was a lot of fun. It took us, we started at 1 o'clock. We finished around 6. Because every single round with the Azorius out there and the Orzhov, we just clogged up board states, and 3 games, a lot of things went to 3 games, and it just, each round took the full hour. Nobody was done early. So here we go. We're just going to go ahead and skip through the commons like we normally do, unless if there's anything really interesting. Plague White would have been an interesting card to pull. Let's see if there's anything. I did pull 2 Civic Stalwarts in my boosters, and I just didn't see that I really needed him to go on the offensive that I already had. My whole plan with that deck was to be able to knock out 5, 10, 15 points of damage in the first 4 or 5 turns, and then sit back and clog up the field with my ill-gotten gains and just let that rest of their life just slowly drain away as they stare at it in terror. But Plague White would have been a nice one to get. Let's see here. There was a lot of Senate couriers running around. Nice beefy butt of a wall for getting around flyers. Plus it can have vigilance. Scuttlegator. I saw this guy a couple times. He was interesting. He's a 6'6" defender, but I never saw him used to his full potential. Let's see here. What do we got here for our... We got the Geyer Engineer. He came out multiple times in some Simic decks that I played it up against, but typically only one of them. And by the time that happened, it didn't help him much to be able to rebound in the game. But still a great card for mana ramp for playing blue-green. Enraged Ceratok. This is one that I was worried about if I was going to see or not, because you can't chump block him. And almost everything I have is a chump block, but I never saw him in the entire tournament. I don't think even the games that I watched I saw him played. We have a Collision Colossus. Now this was played against me more than once with the 6 damage to target creature with flying. And I did have somebody try to play the Colossus on their character, in which case I immediately responded and exiled their character for them. So they weren't happy about that. With our rare being Emergency Powers, which this is a great fun little card also. It's a reset. Each player shuffles their hand and graveyard into their library, then draws 7 cards, and you exile Emergency Power. And it has an addendum that if you cast a spell during your main phase, you can put a permanent card with converted mana cost of 7 or less from your hand onto the battlefield. This doesn't change the state of the current field, but it is a great play if you're just behind. It gives you a chance of catching up. So not a bad rare there. Going on to pack 2. If I can get it open. Night of Sorrow. There's another one that I didn't pull that I wish I had. Might have used him instead of that big butt that I had in a 6-drop spot. So he can block an additional creature each turn during combat, and he has Afterlife for a 3/3 for a 5-drop. Not bad at all for a sealed. Now for a draft, I don't know that I would draft him. He's not fast enough, and my cards are damaged. Lovely. There's the Coral Commando. Yeah, here's another Prowling Caracal. I may have played more of them. I had them set up to sub them in if I needed to. Is my mic not working? Test, test, test. All right. Hopefully my mic stayed on through all of that. Undercity's Embrace. I wish I had pulled more of these for the removal. That's, again, I played one of them. I wish I would have had 2. So I had 3 removal in that 3-drop spot, and then I would have dumped it in the 6. Catacomb Crocodile. Let's see here. Our uncommons are Vindictive Vampire. I did pull one of these as well, but I just didn't figure I was going to have enough creatures dying that it was really going to matter. But he's 1 black and 3 colors for a 2/3, and whenever a creature you control dies, Vindictive Vampire deals 1 damage to each opponent, and you gain 1 life. Probably better in Commander if you can have a sack out for tokens. but in the sealed format that we were playing in, I just didn't see much use in him, even though I did pull him. Our next uncommon is Swirling Torrent. Now, I did have this played against me once, so you get to choose one or both. It's a hefty casting cost, though, for a 6-drop. You can put target creature on top of its owner library, and you can return a target creature to its owner's hands. So you can wipe the board with 2 creatures that your opponent controls, so you can go in for the last swing. Not bad for a 6-drop, especially if you're playing in blue. It's just not me. Here's one that I have not seen. Resolute Watchdog. So it's a defender, and you can sacrifice Resolute Watchdog. Target creature you control gains indestructible until end of turn. That's a nice little combo play that you can have. Didn't even see it. And, well, needless to say, ladies and gentlemen, I pulled a breeding pool during my pre-release when I was opening up one of my booster packs. And here's another breeding pool. I don't mind getting these Shocklands, and I have somebody I know who wants it, since I have 2 breeding pools now. I can't complain at all. I only need 1 for my commander deck. Going into pack 3. Like I said, 5th place got 3 packs. 1st place got a whole box plus a playmat. But it dwindled quickly. I think 2nd place got 8 packs. 3rd place got 6 packs. 4th place got 5 packs. I got 4 packs. Oh, there's one that I would have liked to have seen. Arrestor Zeal. I could have used that early as well. So it's target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn, and it's got an addendum. If you cast a spell during your main phase, that creature gains flying until end of turn. This would have been a nice little, because like I said, I wanted to come out of the gate fast and hard and then whittle them down later. That would have helped with the fast and hard. Nice combat trickery. There's the Ravnica Rustabout. Burn Bright. Grasping Thrall. He was played against me multiple times. I would have loved to have seen him in a 5-drop as well. He's a 3/3 flyer. And when he comes into play, it is a 2-life swing. So they take 2 damage. You gain 2 life. I did have multiples of these played against me. Skittering Eel. Debtor's Transport. Here's another one I wish I had seen into a 6-drop slot, but I did not get any of them. It's a 5/3 for 6-drop with an Afterlife 2. Just a beastly guy to keep coming in at somebody. But I did not see him at all. Orzhov Locket. And we have our uncommons. So we have Silhana Wayfinder. So it's a 2/1 for 2, a green and a colorless. But where its strength lies is in its search abilities. So you get to look at the top 4 cards of your library, and you either reveal a creature or a land, and you put it on top of your library, and the rest go on the bottom of your library in any random order. So it's green's reply to Scry. It's not bad, except you only get to pick one of those cards. It certainly helped with quite a few people playing green. That's all I can say about that. The Clamor Shaman. Riot 1/1, and when he attacks, target creature and opponent controls can't block. I got this played against me also, though it didn't help him out much because I had too many creatures on the board. We have Sentinel's Mark. It's a flasher, 1 white, 1 colorless, enchanted creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+2 and has vigilance with an addendum. Oh, this looks like it would be a wonderful card, but it's an Azorius card. When Sentinel's Mark enters the battlefield, if you cast it during your main phase, enchanted creature gains lifelink until end of turn. What a nice little card that could have worked out to be. With our rare being, another Mirror March. This is my 2nd Mirror March, ladies and gentlemen. I pulled 1 in my sealed packs for the pre-release, and this is my 2nd one. Not going to do me much good. I figured I'd run 1 in a commander deck, but Mirror March won't do me much good. But I'll read it anyways. 1 red, 5 colorless, so it's a 6-drop. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, flip a coin until you lose a flip. For each flip you won, create a token that's a copy of that creature. Those tokens gain haste. Exile them at the beginning of the next end step. Now in Arena, I have used this multiple times to stomp people. In a sealed, I don't think this is going to do you much good. But it's a fun card to play with, and I think it'll go great in Commander. I think that this card could see a lot of play in Commander. Orzhov Guildgate. And the last pack. Here's another butt that I wish that I would have found. Concordia Pegasus. 1 white, 1 colorless for a 1/3 flyer. Wish I could have pulled some of these. They would have helped with blocking the opponent's 1/1s in the air, or their 2/1s in the air. Just didn't see one. Spear Skewer. This is one I expected to see for all of this. I expected to see more Spectacle played, and I didn't see much of it played. I played probably more Spectacle than most people with the 1 Spectacle card I had in my deck. But this is a 0/2 defender, and he's just a pinger, but he's 1 red. He would have been okay to splash if I hadn't had enough removal to make my entire Orzhov deck. So, he's a fun little guy. Stony Strength, there's another one that I expected to see more play. Watchful Giant, there's one of them that I played in my deck. There's my big wall. Justice Portal, this is a nice little combat trick that would have been fun, and I wish I could have got one. 1 white, 1 colorless. It's an instant. Exile target creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under its control, and it gets first strike. So this could have made one of your blockers all of a sudden come back, have first strike, and then kill somebody else, and then go on to fight the next day. Didn't see this one either, but I was hoping for this one. But still, 5th place for what I had wasn't too bad at all. Into our uncommon slots. First we have High Alert from Azorius. 1 blue, 1 white, and 1 colorless. Enchanted creature you control assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. This is for all you wall players out there in Azorius. Creatures you control can attack as if they didn't have defender. And for a very steep cost of 1 blue, 1 white, and 2 colorless, you can untap target creature. So in the late game it would have been okay, but I didn't see too many people playing walls. And I keep losing my mic, so this is not going to be a great video. I don't know why I'm losing my mic. Our next card is Biogenic Upgrade. So, also another costly one. 4 colorless, 2 green. Distribute 3+1/+1 counters among 1, 2, or 3 target creatures. Then double the number of +1/+1 counters on those creatures. Didn't see this one played either. Though it would have been a great card for a finishing round. Our next uncommon is Essence Capture. 2 blue. Counter target creature spell. Put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature you control. Now I did have this played against me. They used it to counter one of my big baddies, but then they forgot about that second line about the +1/+1 counter. They had no creatures. So it just fizzled. So all they did was they just used it as a counter spell, which I suppose is alright. And our rare is another Shockland. We have a Hallowed Fountain, white-blue. So yeah, I can't complain. Pre-release got 3 Shocklands. Ooh, I take that back. We just got ourselves a foil Smothering Tithe. Yeah, this is a great card also. And one that I wished I could have seen, because then I could have splashed any color I wanted to. But yeah, it's a foil of it. 1 white, 3 colorless. Whenever an opponent draws a card, that player may pay 2 colorless mana. And if they don't, you create a treasure token that you can sack it. It's an artifact, and you add 1 mana of any color. This is going to be a card that I think is probably one of the better cards in the set that might see quite a bit of play. I can see it seeing a lot of play in Commander and a couple other different places. I didn't anticipate that being in the back for a foil, but that's a gorgeous card right there. So then we have the guild gate and the human. So I hope everybody has had a great pre-release, and I'm sorry about my audio going in and out on this recording. Hopefully it caught everything up for my deck tech with my Orzhov deck here. And like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know how you did on your pre-release. I'm very curious how everybody placed, what they thought of the new guilds, and where they're sitting at, and what they thought of the new mechanics. I have absolutely loved the Afterlife mechanic, and plan on continuing playing with that. Play with it even more in Arena. And I hope everybody has a wonderful night. It is snowing like bejesus here, so hopefully everybody's safe wherever you are. And as always, may Keep Calm Kitty be with you. Good night, everybody.